I think Elizabeth Warren has finally found a great way to attack Donald Trump. So a lot of his opponents don't get it. If you roll around in the mud with him, you both wind up dirty, and he's always going to be dirtier than you, and he wins that wrestling match in the mud. If you go after him for saying he's against Mexicans, Muslims, that only helps his campaign. If you call him racist, he goes, yeah, duh, that's what I'm running the campaign on. And if you say that he has no policy positions, people go, yeah, that's not what I'm electing him for, not the minutia of his health care proposal. I'm going after supporting him because he's a winner. He's fantastic. He's tremendous, okay? And from now on, we're going to be winning. We're not winning anymore, and we're going to be winning. So what is the correct way to go after him? So obvious. It's right there. Cut the idea that he's a winner. Call him what he actually is. A loser. So that's what Elizabeth Warren's doing. Now, first, she says about the Republican Party something enormously right. They are paying the price for their own extremism. It has now taken them by the throat. Guys, this is what you did to yourselves. Absolutely right. Everybody's going like, oh my God, where did Donald Trump come from? He came from the Republican Party. You fostered this attitude of racism for all this time. And so now when Trumpenstein arises, you can't be like, oh, golly gee, the party that ran the Southern strategy, an explicitly racist strategy, turns out to have a party full of racists. How could that have happened? Now, that's not the only reason they support Donald Trump. And there is a populist rage in the country, and there is validity to the anger in regards to populism and against the politicians and against the establishment. But Trump has misdirected that anger and fueled it with racism, et cetera. So now, as to how to defeat that, Warren says, let's be honest, Trump is a loser. Count all of his failed businesses, see how he cheated people with scams like Trump University. Now, he's not going to like that, because that gets under his skin, because it's true. They might not care about your health care policy. They do care whether you're a winner or not. And how many businesses are you going to drive into bankruptcy before we call you what you actually are? A loser. Okay, Elizabeth Warren continues. See how Trump kept his father's empire afloat using strategic corporate bankruptcies to skip out on debt. It's another great point. You know what he did in all those 4 bankruptcies? He says in the debates, hey, I use the system. I use the system, right? Well, by using the system, what he did was, all you suckers who gave me money, I'm not going to pay you back. I'm going to find a loophole in the system and rob you blind. I'm just going to declare bankruptcy and not pay you. Now, that's the kind of guy you're proud of? The loser can't run his own business, and when he crashes that business time and time again, he goes, I got an idea. How about I don't pay you? He's a deadbeat. Okay? That's what he is. I thought Republicans didn't like deadbeats. Trump is the definition of a deadbeat. Okay. Now, Warren says, don't get complacent because he's such an obvious, pathetic failure. Failures like him can still cause trouble. She says, many of history's worst authoritarians started out as losers, and Trump is a serious threat. The way I see it, it's our job to make sure he ends this campaign every bit the loser he started it. Damn! Okay. See, there's someone who understands politics. Now, and she's right, too. Remember, Hitler was all angry because he started as a failed artist. He's like, oh, I should paint trees, and then they're like, oh, you loser, that's so sad. And he's like, oh, I'm so angry, and then he decided to kill everybody. So don't underestimate the losers of the world. Okay, are we not merciful? So having said all this, of course, this bothers Donald Trump to no end. You knuckleheads running against him. You think you're going to bother him by, using the same kind of insults he does? No, he loves that. Remember that when he was being roasted on Comedy Central, he could pick one topic that they couldn't talk about. He didn't say his family. He said, go ahead, make fun of my family. I don't care. Make fun of anything you like. The only thing you couldn't make fun of is whether he actually has all that money. You know why? Because he doesn't. He doesn't have all that money. It's all a facade. It's all a Ponzi scheme to get more people to put money into him, or in this case, to put votes into him. So since this is an effective strategy, he's bothered by it. He lashes out like a third grader as usual, and he says about Elizabeth Warren, I think it's wonderful because the Indians can now partake in the future of the country. She's got about as much Indian blood as I have. Her whole life was based on a fraud. What a sad little attack. So this is something that Republicans use on Elizabeth Warren because they don't have anything else. The overwhelming majority of the American people agree with her on policy positions, and when she fights for them, fights for consumers to make sure that banks don't rip them off, that's very popular. So, oh, one time she said she was part of Native American. They say Indian, of course. That's because she is. Oh, they're like, oh, you said something true. Now, did she use the fact that she was Native American in applications to get into places like Harvard? No, she never used it. She didn't say, oh, here, check off Native American and give me affirmative action. No, that never happened. So all parts of Donald Trump's attacks are not true. She is Native American, and she did not use it to her advantage. Well played, Donald. Yet another losing strategy by Donald Trump. So, but Elizabeth Warren's not going to back down, so she comes back at him again after these nonsense Indian comments. She says, listen to experts who say the real Donald Trump might have more money today if he'd put his inheritance in an index fund and let it alone. That is also enormously true. A great analysis done shows that the amount of money he's likely to have, not the amount he's lying about, but the one, and they give him every benefit of the doubt to get to around $2 billion, right? Not the $10 billion he says he has. That's never been proven, never going to be proven. It ain't remotely true, right? If you give him every benefit of the doubt on every property he has, he gets up to that kind of figure. Again, I don't believe that at all. I think that's way too generous to him. Anyway, it turns out if he just took the money Daddy gave him, and Daddy gave him between $40 to $200 million, and put it in the stock market in an index fund just goes up as the stock market goes up, he would have had more money. Wow, what a winner. What a financial genius. He's been playing patty cakes this whole time. Oh, no, I bungled it. Oh, I lost the money, Daddy. And then he tricks somebody else into giving him money, and then he assigns the name of his... You know how the only way he actually makes money? He's terrible at building things. The funny thing is, if he gets elected president and tries to build a wall, you don't have to worry about a thing. He ain't going to build it. He sucks at building things. Every one of his projects where he actually tried to manage it was a debacle. In the words of Donald Trump, it was a mess. The only way he makes money is through marketing. He now sells his name to other people who build buildings, and then they call it Trump Tower, Trump Building, etc., and they pay him an enormous amount of money just to be able to put his name on it, but they don't let him anywhere near the project because he'd bungle it. That's the kind of loser Donald Trump is. So, but Elizabeth Warren's not done kicking his ass. She says Trump knows he's a loser. His insecurities are on parade, petty bullying, attacks on women, cheap racism, and flagrant narcissism. She's not letting him up, man. And she ain't done yet. She's like, wait. Are you trying to out-tweet me? No. Okay, you want to play Twitter games? Okay, I'll do 10 tweets for your one tweet. Let's keep going at it, loser. So she says, Trump is cool with being called an authoritarian, isn't upset at Hitler comparisons, and thinks we won't fight back. Wrong! There you go. Warren G. Let her loose, man. Apparently she knows what she's doing, so everybody else step aside, Butch. Here comes Elizabeth Warren.